Hey, how's it
Hey,
going, Daryl?
doing good? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Awesome. Thanks for chatting with me. So
My pleasure.
basically, caught the tail end of that convo earlier, and I was going back to the stream to listen to it from the start, and I was curious. Like I remember you were saying basically, nobody there, understands it, and so on and so forth. So the question I was want to ask you was, why don't you like go to like a college or a university or get a quantum mechanics textbook or go to some source that does know?
I should. That option's definitely available to me. Uh, Basically laziness, I could try a little harder. I also, reach out to people that I don't know if they have or have not done that themselves. Just kind of playing the field,
I
and
got you.
from what I've learned from watching the, first 10 results, searching on, YouTube and reading the first 10 curated links of, Googling that same question on both search engines, I'm sorry, double slit experiment explained.
Mhm.
It's definitely, not like due diligence research, of course, and
I
I
got
will
you.
admit that. But after reading those first 10 articles and watching those first 10 videos, I'm just uh, I'm just saying to everyone, pretty sure I get it better than you do, and I know that my understanding of it is very incomplete and a whole like a sort of sugar-coated children's story Veggie Tales version of it. And if none of you can add anything to it that I haven't already heard, which I already know isn't a proper understanding of it, then we should all sort of acknowledge none of us in this entire room know exactly what's going on in this experiment. But I could definitely try harder for my own sake,
Got you.
looking into those different resources.
So your experience is you do want to know, but just basically not enough to overcome like the laziness that doesn't have you go farther than those 10 or 20 resources.
But time is limited, and I'll admit, I sure could have found time in the past 10 years that I've basically stayed at the same level of understanding of it. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Because I remember in junior high, my older brother sent me that Dr. Quantum animated video of the double slit experiment explained. It might have been from some sort of feature length educational film. Do you know the one I'm talking about? Sort of Einsteinian superhero looking guy.
Can't say I recall that.
The animated film, maybe one of the first results you get on YouTube, a little snippet of it, right? And I remember my brother showing that to me over 10 years ago. And then when I talk to people and I question them about their understanding of it, or even unprovoked, they'll say, "Hey, Fundy, man, I just found out about this double slit experiment," or maybe they didn't just find out about it. They say, "Man, this double slit experiment results really back my spiritual views on reality, and it just explains so much, and everything's falling into place." I say, "Wow," and they say, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, all of it's explained in this YouTube link." I can't tell you how many people have sent me that exact same clip from that movie with Dr. Quantum and that same animated film clip, and I'm like, "Wow, that's a little embarrassing and disappointing that you think this is the only information you need to attain a proper understanding of what's going on. And I know just enough more to realize that this is a Veggie Tales sugar coated children's story version of what actually happened that's going to be very misleading, uh, you know, in trying to actually understand what this experiment is all about and what actually occurred during it."
Happen to have any of the links that you were looking at before? Uh the links that you were checking out. Do you happen to have any of those that you can pull up now?
Uh, I'm sure I could find them. I'm not really trying to. I'm on my phone, and I search the web right now and pull up some ones that I know I had seen or read before, but
Okay, yeah, perhaps we
uh,
could check one out real fast.
that's for a different time.
Okay,
I named the one, and that's easily
say it
findable.
one more time. I could I'll try to find it.
Sure. Uh, sh Probably search Dr. Quantum Double Slit Experiment Explained. Should be an animated film of a guy wearing like yellow spandex with like a blue underwear with like red gloves
You
or
know what?
something and white hair. Light
You
skinned
know,
guy
yeah,
in
yeah.
an
You know what? I
animated
do
film.
I do remember seeing this. This was in that With the Bleep film. This right here is actually not. At least I mean maybe it was something separate, but I remember seeing this guy in the With the Bleep experiment. I think I could share in this thing. Hold up. Is it
If you
device?
stream
Is
it,
it
I can
really
watch your
the
screen
Yeah, yeah.
share.
I'll stream it through Discord if I can. Let me see here.
I'll tell you right now, one of the most embarrassing parts about this animated clip here from the movie. It goes on to describe the observer effect, and it gives such a simplistic, like I say, I got to come up with some sort of abbreviation. That's the guy. Yep. And one of the most embarrassing parts about it
You able to
that
see it?
follows very, yeah, yeah. I haven't clicked on it yet to watch,
way it
but
is?
before I do,
And that our
can you pause
senses
it
are
real quick?
playing tricks on us.
Okay.
I just want to tell you that one of the most embarrassing aspects of it, which was one of my main focuses in the conversation on the Earth Awakening server, was about the observer effect. And this animation uh, sort of demonstrates the observer effect as being represented by a camera, but it's not just a camera, it's actually just a human eyeball placed on top of a tripod, like a camera stand tripod, but a
Okay.
human eyeball is placed on top of it, and it says, due to the fact that this human eyeball placed on top of this tripod is watching this individual packet unit of light called a photon in this animation, the photon is going to not separate from itself, creating a clone, and then try to reintegrate the two versions of itself and then bounce off of each other. It goes full. I mean,
Come on,
at
this
that
right here.
moment,
This
it
part
goes
right here.
full retard. That is the one, yes. And let me click onto watching your stream. Okay, I'm ready.
Right?
Oh, do you want to go
So,
through the whole
what they
thing? That's
taught us
fine.
in school isn't
It's all
really
it's
the
like
way it
5 minutes.
is, and that our senses are playing tricks on us. You just gotta wonder, what is this reality that we find ourselves in? Quantum physics says it's all just waves of information. Do I believe that? I hope so. Yikes!
Hilarious.
And here we are, the granddaddy of all quantum weirdness, the infamous double slit experiment. To understand this experiment, we first need to see how particles, or little balls of matter, act. If we randomly shoot a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now,
Massless balls of
if we
fire.
add a second slit, we would expect
Turn
to
the volume
see
down a
a
bit. What was the
second
last thing you said?
band duplicated to the right. Now,
So I have the
let's look
volume
at
turned up on the
waves.
stream. If you
The
gotta speak,
waves
you
hit
have
the
to
slit
pause it first.
and
Sorry.
radiate.
Yeah, yeah. What was the last thing you said? That was the same thing. I heard you say something, but I couldn't quite make it out.
Oh, I said it said it's going to fire uh, particles of matter through the slit, and I think that's already a sort of paradoxical misnomer, sort of sleight of hand, because they're going to be firing massless particles, which is sort of oxymoronical when it comes to describing something as material that has no mass. A part,
Gotcha.
like a photon has no mass, and then they may say that an electron does have a resting mass, but
Yeah,
an indetectable non-resting mass. And the whole thing is just, like I said, being sort of sugar-coated children's story, veggie-tailed version. And so it's already sort of misleading if what the goal is of this animation to give someone a proper understanding of what's going on. I understand the subject is very complex, but all of these things don't get questioned by enough people deeply enough, which leads them to like these really grandiose conclusions that then they adopt into their spirituality and their scientism, and just creates a whole clusterfuck of people going full retard on like baseless sort of elaborations of what they think they understand.
that's true. So your purpose in the chat was not, it was just to point that out, that people are making conclusions when they don't really have the full understanding of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. People want to take things way too far without establishing a proper, solid foundation of understanding. And it's gotten really embarrassing. Like I said, I my brew a decade ago, perhaps nearly a decade and a half ago, and since then I've been able to participate in conversations with other people, who've also
Mhm.
seen this thing in this, either explained through this animation or other sources, and I've just been able to notice since then the way people sort of molest and abuse this scientific fact as they think it is.
Awesome. Well, I think we on the same page there. And is it my understanding that your position on the Earth is flat? Are you a flat earther or
Well, I think it's fair enough to say uh, the default is flat, and the typical education is globe, and we all have to sort of reconcile the differences between those two. I've done my part and try my best, and I have a gut feeling, but I also see the valid points made on both sides, and it seems to be an ongoing thing that, to me, the fact that it is an ongoing debate that both sides actually can put up a fight against seems a little embarrassing for the globe. So, as much as I hold them on equal levels of each other, the thing that tips the scales, that doesn't necessarily make me flat, but makes me more embarrassed to be a glober, is the fact that the you know I think this could have been settled a long time ago if the people with all the reason and resources and capabilities to just settle this don't seem to be very willing to provide things completely within, sort of snap of a finger, blink in an eye that could put all of us at ease, including the Globers who feel a need to defend themselves against flat earthers, without simply like a link that says, I don't need to talk to you every day for years or take you seriously or defend this or take any personal stake in this or even come up with any creative explanations of my own. Here's the link. It's been done transparently, directly, and inarguably to the best a human can provide, or even anything in that direction. Why I favor flat Earth so much is that there's many, great points flat earthers can make that, me as only one man trying to take it all in say, well, I cannot ignore this. And that is a very good point. The Glovers, they have as many answers as you do, perhaps even more, but the suspicious nature of this matter when investigating the globe, the emotional reactions, and the lack of support from a worldwide institution just doesn't allow me in clear conscience to uh, be a cuck and keep on dating NASA even though they're sort of an abusive girlfriend that picks fights that they ask you to fight for them. Earth's a globe, and then they need you to fight that battle for them instead of doing their part in backing up themselves.
So when you say a lack of support from the worldwide thing, you mean like why NASA doesn't come and combat flat Earth or something like that?
Well, it's much more than NASA, of course, and there's other institutions that would have to be directly involved, you know. And I know NASA's the one sending rockets or whatever, but you could assume that other institutions that work with NASA would want to know that their investments are also secure. So anyone like national security from many different nations shouldn't be in the dark when it comes to what they're entrusting NASA to do for them, their duties, or like the executive branch of the government, the military. Now we got Space Force, right? So NASA is not. They may be the, I don't know, the spearhead of it all, but the answers could come from any of these people. But none of them seem to be able to step up to the plate and actually hit a home run.
But your understanding is that the matter is not been answered already.
What do you say?
But your understanding at this point of your conclusion is that the matter has not been answered already, has not been clearly addressed.
Yeah, not fully addressed, not sat like if there's a level of like due respect or respect due, you know, I think anyone who puts their faith in these institutions and like the grandiose, conclusions or messages they're sending out there, should, kind of feel like they're getting the raw end of a deal. Like they may be right. Earth may be a globe. Everything they've said may be true. But uh,
I
when
guess
it
I'm still
comes
not clear
to
then.
them
Is
being a
it?
s- when it
I
comes to
guess I'm
them
still
being a
not clear then.
stranger to us, go ahead.
I guess I'm still not clear though. Like it, because it sounds like are you saying it's flat or are you saying it's globe?
I'm saying I'm just Fundy, and I've explained my position, but I could never be an honest glober. I could never be a trusting glober because there's a sort of respect due to the people that you're asking. Uh, there's a sort of respect that's due to the people NASA is asking to believe them, and I don't think they've come through for the people they're asking to believe these such extraordinary claims. There's a lack of extraordinary evidence for such extraordinary claims.
So what type of evidence do you think is needed that has not been presented yet?
I think the final examples are fine, right? There's nothing wrong with the evidence, except for the ones that are like blatantly false, or trickery or CGI or misleading or just flat out, facades. But for the ones that aren't obviously trickery and lies, the ones that are still on the table of being real, uh, what anyone should expect is a level of transparency, a level of vulnerability and openness and transparency. It's basically like if a teacher sent you home with like a math exam, like an overnight test, that she doesn't just want you to put in the right number, in the blank spot to the equation. She says, "Show me your math." And I know someone could easily say, "Oh, NASA does show us their math or whatever." But in the way I'm approaching it with this loose metaphor, I'm basically the teacher saying to NASA, the student, "Okay, good answers. You got the questions right, but I'm pretty sure you're faking your ability to get these results, and your dad actually, or your older brother actually took this test for you."
So what would be what would the person have to put on the paper in that example to show they did it? Like what specifically is it that's
Well,
lacking?
there'd be signs.
Say
Yeah,
it again.
there'd be signs, right? Like for the teacher to just to continue the metaphor,
No, but I'm
Um,
literally asking you specifically now, like specifically in the real world, in real life, what is it specifically that is lacking?
yeah, like I said, transparency is what's lacking.
But in other words,
And,
like
and
I don't know what needs to be more transparent. Like specifically, what is it? Like what is it that's lacking and needs to be more transparent? That's not transparent.
um, well, the thing about transparency is that transparency leads to like I might be making up a word here, but like verifiableness. And like just to make the quick comparison again, I'll get right back to answering your question directly. But there's signs you can look for to follow the metaphor that when say the student turns in the math test that they took home overnight, that the the writing of doing like the long division is in their handwriting,
Mhm.
right? And so that's a level of transparency and like something to be evaluated where their fingerprint is all over it. The student's handwriting is the actual handwriting that is shown in the writing on the page, and that's not a perfect metaphor, but it's that level of transparency and lack of being able to evaluate it to recognize an authentic signature of the doer that isn't apparent in real life. So, one thing in specific they could do that would be amazing. Uh, I mean, there's so many things, but two things top of the head. Uh, you know, an like an uncut video. I like we can fit a terabyte onto something smaller than your pinky nail, and you can record a 20-hour launch of a rocket all the way from launch to docking with the ISS or something. It's not there. Another thing you could do, it's just like again like an embarrassment, or like to be a Glober, you're just like, man, you're really picking fights and you're asking me to fight those battles for you when they're not gonna say take a live stream or an uncut footage recording again, which wouldn't settle everything, of course, but it'd still be a step in the right direction of like an uncut footage of a flight flying over Antarctica.
So, but you're still saying now that these two things would make you say, "Oh, okay, as a globe, it's just that'll be a step in the right direction."
Yeah, I mean, they still have all their past sins to account for, which makes me say, oh, it's probably not what they're saying because the lie's been going on for long enough that they've embarrassed themselves over and over again for people who are paying attention. And there may be no way to really turn me back to their side at this point, but I'm willing to give them a shot. But in order for them to make a valid attempt, they're going to need to operate with much more transparency. They're going to have to earn my trust, especially with all the blunders and blatant lies. You know what I mean? But
What are these
I'll keep it on
lies?
the table.
What are these lies, though?
Oh, I mean, we could start a list.
Okay,
There's there's the there's the inside job, what do you call it, collusion of YouTube and SpaceX falsifying landing footage and allowing them to operate outside of the rules that everyone else has to follow when it comes to putting a label and on edited live footage. There's all of the ISS blunders of CGI that they'll never open up a stage for us to address. That's countless examples right there.
I see. So you had asked
There's
about a video, like you had mentioned SpaceX. What is wrong with the spaceman video?
oh I didn't I'm not the perfect person to answer that question about the SpaceX footage. It's not my specialty. I have heard from people I trust that there are plenty of glitches and oddities that just lead to suspicion about that footage. I was talking about the landing footage of one of those upright landing rockets. That's what I was referring to before when I just mentioned a second ago. But the spaceman footage does have a lot of things odd with it, as far as I've heard people describe glitches of the Earth pausing, the fact that they claim it to be an unchanged car. You know, as Elon says, we just took a car and we sent it into space. However, why can I see through the wheels all the way through? The brakes are missing. Several components under the hood are missing in order to be able to see through the tires all the way through clearly. The mirrors have been removed, so already like I said, it just gets embarrassing. They say, "Oh, we just took a normal car and we put it in space," but there's been alterations made to that car, so it's a little insulting to my intelligence that they would try to say it's just a normal one, even though it's been altered.
It
They say
seems
it
to
has
me
been
that
altered, yet it clearly has. So that's kind of that's shameful.
it seems to me that that video uh is beyond the one that is because that video goes farther than the space station. So it seems like whatever video is presented, you would say is fake or altered anyway. So what do you say to that?
I would never outright claim anything real or fake. I'm just pointing out the things that are anomalous and suspicious and outright lies, you know? Like the only two things I said a second ago was that Elon said they took a normal car and they sent it into space with no changes. Yet, I mean, it only takes a kindergarten to notice, oh, there's been several changes made to that car. It's not one of your normal cars sent simply into space. The mirrors have been removed, and also components behind the wheel from a side view have also been removed. So, I mean, that's all I'm saying. And it's like, how do you trust someone that blatantly lied? And that's only the beginning of it, of course.
So clear, you saw a video or something of Elon saying nothing at all has been changed about this car, meaning that if he took the mirrors off, that would make him a liar. That's what I'm understanding.
Technically, yes, right? I can always give him the benefit of the doubt that he meant nothing's been changed except for we took off the mirrors or perhaps didn't put the mirrors on or something. It makes him technically a liar, and I
You
can
saw
leave
this?
room in my heart. I can leave room in my heart to say, oh, shit happens. People misspeak or he was ignorant of the situation. But cars have mirrors. And to send up a car without mirrors, which would be one of the hardest parts, of course, it just leans into that whole sort of vibe of like, mirrors would be one of the harder things to get right in a CGI animation or a green screen or something like that, right? Just adds a bit more complexity to it all with four different mirrors on the front of the car at different angles, trying to get all that right. I do believe it's within their capabilities, but still, it's something they could remove to make their job easier on themselves of tricking the masses. So it's not a good look, and it is technically alive. But hey, I'm not making any bold claims here. I'm just stating the facts.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. Well, I appreciate you speaking with me though, man. So I like the part of my interest is finding out why people believe either the Earth is flat or in your case, I guess I'm still not sure what to categorize you. Maybe on the fence, like a little bit distrustful or what have you. But whatever the case is, I'm interested in learning about that. What I'm thinking about doing a talk the uh on the channel there, and we're still not sure what it's going to be on. Perhaps I could make it on quantum. What questions, like, do you have, like, for instance, 5 questions you could tell me right now that you will want to answers on quantum, and I maybe I could see if I can answer those questions and do a presentation on it or something.
Hmm. Not sure off the dome. I can think of five. I did want to tell you. I appreciate the tone you took to your questions. and your patience and your composure and all of that. And by the way, I never I actually had a little gap in my memory of exactly what conversation in Earth Awakenings, or if that was the place, led to us reaching out to each other. But if you could remind me of
Oh,
where we
we just
first
earlier today.
connected.
That whole quantum physics conversation in
Yeah, well, we have a
channel.
history though. We have a direct messaging history that goes back a couple
Oh, I
months.
see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm not even sure. Yeah, that was from way back in March, so
Right.
I can't. I don't remember
Obviously, we
myself.
connected though.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, obviously, for us to reach out to each other, there was a sort of eye to eye meeting that we had,
yeah.
in a previous, interaction. So the only reason I answered this phone call today was because we have, from what I saw in our direct messages to each other, it seemed like we were pretty amicable and already. But last question for you. You said you're going to stream this conversation, and I don't know the name of your channel or where I can check out more of your stuff. Can you
Sure. I'm
send
gonna
me a
put it in
link?
the. Yeah, yeah. Sure, I'll get the link right now.
Well, I appreciate that. So, could I ask you a few questions about your channel? It has been going on for a
Certainly,
while.
I got some time. Well, I mean, the technical question to that is yes, but I haven't really been active in a while because I've been focusing on school. But um, I'm gonna start being more active again. So uh,
Do you do you have high hopes for your channel? If you do, I wish you the best, and I hope all your dreams come true, or you get what you're looking for out of your content here. Do you have an exact sort of dream you're chasing down here?
I guess I can't say. I still want to have my primary focus be uh like academia, but you could say I'm interested in it being a supplement to that. Like I have one channel that I'm gonna start building where I'm actually uh like teaching math and science concepts. So I was thinking about streaming if I'd like to get a presentation on quantum or something on that channel. I have a channel where at least for a while, I've been into like the out of body experience and stuff like that. So I have a channel where I'm gonna talk about things like that. I actually teach a class on the Course in Miracles every Sunday, so I stream that on the first Sunday of the month. I started doing that. So I guess you could say is basically be a supplement to several of the things I'm doing, and you know, and I am trying to get like super large, I guess. But if I could get a few thousand subscribers and have a regular thing going, I think I'd be happy.
I completely believe you can reach those goals and far more, and I really love your approach that you're kind of trying to explain things inside the box, but you're not afraid to. Obviously, apparent by this conversation, you're definitely interested in exploring outside the box ideas as well, and I think that'll lead to a lot of interesting content, man. You got this. I'm
Thanks,
happy
man.
to help.
Appreciate it.
As far as your questions on like 5 questions for quantum
Take
physics,
your time. You don't have to give it
um,
now if you got to think about it. Just send me a DM and I'll
I
have it.
got one. I got one at
Okay.
least. I have at least one.
Okay.
And now that I mention it, I have at least two.
Okay.
Um, so I'll give you two. That's probably all I can. Maybe more will come as I say these. So first question for quantum field theory or whatever is, when will you be satisfied, or when will you recognize that your pursuit and attempt to describe particles interacting, giving off the emergent phenomena or illusion of being a larger particle, you know, as in like electrons were thought of as particles, but now electrons are thought of, for lack of better words, a pseudo particle that's actually comprised of two smaller quark particles that are actually just giving off the illusion that they're a particle due to their interaction, and so on for a few other cases in that matter. When will you know you've reached the bottom of the well and you've found fundamental ingredients of material. And is there any way to know that pursuit has really come to an end, or do you just reach a cliff face that you cannot scale? You know,
Okay.
and like how do you know you've reached the end when you get there, or will you reach the end perhaps and not know that you've actually done it? My other question, this is only because of my naivete,
Okay.
is Um, is there any actual demonstration of entanglement that is like sustainable and viewable or observable to a person, whether through a microscope or to the human eye, that say two objects can be live streamed and that it's visibly apparent to change one and then record the instantaneous change in another? I haven't looked into it basically at all, but this whole idea of entanglement and this interaction at a distance, I believe that if it were demonstratable, I would have had no choice but to have been presented it, and especially in the rooms I spend time in. It seems like entanglement is one of these sort of believe me, bro scenarios, but for your audience or for anyone listening, please s- point me in the right direction to see two particles entangled, and if it can ever be more than one particle, but say an apple entangled with another apple, and then someone bites one, and then a bite, disappears from the other. That sounds awesome. I know that's not the case
Okay.
because if it was, we'd all know about it. So I know it's a dumb question, but anything I can latch on to in that matter.
Awesome. Well, those are definitely some big questions. Those are more complex than I think I was expecting, but I'll give it a shot.
Appreciate it, man.
Hi, man. Thanks again for
I'll
talking
catch
with
you.
me, man. It was great.
My pleasure, man. Anytime.
Bye.
All right, see you, man.